Buenos dias, fellow future seers, predictors, and fans of fisticuffs. Happy February to you all. I'm Josh Moody. That's John Batanti, and we are picking
We're gonna pick fights for you. We're gonna talk a little gambling, and we're gonna have a little fun. Josh, how you feeling? Wonderful.
Yo, I was feeling. How am I feeling? I'm actually doing really good. I'm tired. I trained hard for the last 2 days, and I barely train right now. Train like, I don't know, once a week, twice a week instead of 3 times a day. So when I do train, I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. How do I used to do this? Anyways, I was super nervous about this card because I pulled it up and I was like, I don't recognize any of these names. But as I started looking into it, I feel pretty good about this card. This all Asia team.
I don't know what's up with that, but definitely probably won't be one of the popular cards on the year. But that doesn't mean it won't be a good card. I'll watch. There's some good prospects on this card. There's a few action fights, but overall, I don't think anyone knows anything not much outside the main event. No one's really that interested. But we do got a main event. We got the Black Beast back. That was canceled a few weeks ago when the Beast got hurt and rescheduled. He got sick, before the fight. He made weight, and then he got sick on fight day. So, with that being said, we did actually predict this fight the first time. Sergey Spivac and Derek Lewis. Anything changing on your end on that fight?
Man, I don't remember what I predicted last time. But as I walk into this, I think this is just effortlessly a Sergey Spivac victory.
Last time.
It should just be effortless. But then I was looking at things, and Derek Lewis is 4-9. No, 4. Yeah, it was 4-7, I think, against opponents that do not try to take him down. And then he's like 20-4 against opponents that do successfully take him down. He's better again. Like that doesn't make any sense.
He's got that uppercut,
but it's statistically accurate. Yeah. So how do I then put that in the box of this grappler who just out-grapples everyone and is going to come in and out-grapple the guy who doesn't grapple super well? Like, how do these things compete? And it makes me want to pick Derek Lewis. I also feel a little bit like Derek Lewis is falling off.
A little bit.
I think he's older. I heard he slimmed down for this fight. I haven't looked into it. But man, let's see. DC and JDS beat him 2 fights in a row. That's the only other time he's ever lost 2 fights in a row. Man, I think Sergey Spivac is too good. I think Sergey Spivac is the real deal. I'm gonna keep picking Spivac, but statistically, Derek Lewis should win this.
Spivac is a comfortable favorite. He's about -250, or 2.5 to 1, however you want to look at it. And he should be. He's got the clear path to victory. The fight's not expected to go very deep. Total's only 1.5 rounds, with favored pretty highly favored on the under. Derek Lewis doesn't usually like to go distances, as we know. I think I agree with all that. I don't think Spivac's beaten anyone yet. The only time I seen him with anyone that can, a heavy-handed, good heavyweight, if you will, was Aspinall. And Aspinall didn't really break a sweat. Like that wasn't that part of a challenge for Aspinall. So I don't know what to get out of Spivac yet, but I do know that Derek Lewis he does eat up these guys that are outside of the top 5. He's got a really good record against anyone not that's top 5. And no one can take his power, and it just doesn't go away. You really got to tire him out, get him down, or make a move like Gon did, and then get a TKO. Once you get him moving, and you know his power is always going to be exceptional, but it's not peak. Once he's moving around, he's a little bit tired, and then it's much more manageable. So I think I'm going to take Lewis just until I see Lewis start to he could be declining like you said, but until I see it, like a younger guy start eating him up, I'm going to I'll stick with Lewis for the upset.
All right. Who do we have
Da Un Young
next?
versus Devin Clark. I'm a Da Un Young fan. He was looking great his last fight against the Hanyak. He was talking shit. He was smiling. He was provoking, and then he got knocked the fuck out. He got left hook, and he went to sleep. And that was his first KO loss of his career. But he still looked great in there. He's crisp. He's crisp. He throws volume. Devin Clark's way of victory is get this fight to the ground, grind Young out. But Young's got really good takedown defense, and I think he's just got so much more on the feet. So I like Young.
He has better takedown. Young has better takedown offense and better takedown defense, and is good for more takedowns in a fight than the wrestler. Right? The only real problem here is Devin Clark has fought everyone since he's been in the UFC, and Da Un Young has fought no one. So Da Un Young might be something big coming up. But I think that there's a very high likelihood that Devin Clark is able to turn him away. I mean, he turned away William Knight, Alonzo Menafield, Daquan Townsend.
Possible.
He's fought a lot of dudes, and all of his losses, like Ion Kutalaba, very good. I don't know who that Osmond. Oh yeah, I do. Osmond is a superstar. Anthony Smith is going to fight for a title this year if he doesn't lose his next fight. Ryan Spann is in the top 15. Alexander Rakic, top 5. Jan Block, all of his losses are to dudes that are in the top 5 now or the top 10 now. He's just been very unlucky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, every one of Devin Clark's losses is in the UFC as well. He's just been in the deep end since he got here. I don't hold him in super high regard myself, right? But when I look at him on paper, he's fought everything.
I agree with all that.
So I'm going to pick Devin Clark.
I got the upset in the one fight, and you got the upset on the other fight. It's about the same odds, so I like it. We're on different spectrums with equal odds. Next fight, Marcin Tybura Blagoy Ivanov. So I saw this matchup like a month before these fights, and I saw an opening line, and it was like Tybura minus 250, and I was like, oh my god, that's a gift. He's gonna smash Blagoy, he's gonna crush Blagoy. Since then, that line has cratered. Tybura is only a minus 130 favorite, and I can't figure out why. I haven't been able to uncover any news, any inside info on this fight. But if you've ever seen Blagoy fight, I mean, he's pretty unimpressive. He can plod. He wants to wrestle. He wants to grapple. He's got an interesting story. He's fighting at about 50 pounds over his combat sambist weight due to he took a knife to the heart and almost died. And he was never quite the same physically after that, but he was still good enough to ignore what doctors said and get back into fighting. But he fights at heavyweight now.
He won a world
Oh
title.
yeah, he's really good. I,
No, I mean in MMA.
He was a really high prospect. He's good.
Yeah, he was the World Series
Right.
of Fighting champion.
But if you've seen his fights in UFC, I mean, there's
Before
nothing.
the
Nothing scary about him. I mean, Tybura is notoriously hard to take down. He's going to have an advantage on the feet. I can't see why everyone's backing Ivanov though in this fight, and to make the line drop like that. So it's definitely sharp action making that line drop this far away from the fight, and no one really cares about this fight. Let's be honest. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Tybura's having issues. Maybe he's got personal issues. Maybe he can't make weight, and people know, and they're betting it. I just don't. I don't know. I haven't seen anything out of Blagoy Ivanov to make me think like who I'd be running to the window to bet money on, to bet my mortgage payment on. So I don't know. I'll go with. I'll stay on the sharp money side. I'll go with Ivanov. Even though you're going to pick Tybura, aren't you?
Yeah, 1,000% I'm gonna pick Tybura. 1,000%. In the same
That's
way
fine.
that in the same way that Devin Clark has fought everyone and they've made him look average, Marcin Tybura's fought everyone and he makes him look average.
And it just makes me. That's why
Even
I can't figure it out.
He takes world champions and make them look average. Now they win, but they don't look good anymore.
He doesn't get smashed.
Dudes that should smash him don't smash him.
Totally
agree. It's crazy. Hell yeah, I'm taking Marcin Tybura. Let's go, Tybura.
Another fight that I think I'm excited for: Do-Ho Choi. Where's he been? And Kyle Nelson. Yeah, he's taking a long time off. If you know anything about him, yeah, he's action. He's a big prospect. They're definitely doing their best to throw him a softball, if you will, in Kyle Nelson. Very favorable matchup. I think Kyle Nelson's lost 4 out of his last 5, I believe. And he wants to wrestle. He wants to get this fight to the ground. I don't know if he has the chops to really dominate Choi there, but we don't know what version of Choi we're getting. So definitely not betting it, but I'm going to take Choi to win the fight. I'm sure. How about you?
Yeah, I guess it's fair to say that you shouldn't bet on this fight. The flip side is Do-Ho Choi was a fucking hammer when he got to the UFC, and then he just was outside of his depth. Like he skyrocketed to the top, and then he fought a couple guys that he shouldn't have fought at that time. He took 3 years off. Like that should just be him recovering. As long as he stayed in the gym, that should just be him recovering from damage. Now, if he decided he wanted nothing to do with fighting, a little bit different. Kyle Nelson does not appear like he belongs in the UFC. So, like,
right. If Choi can't beat him even after 3 years, then maybe he's probably not going to be in the UFC anymore.
Yeah. So I think that Choi should win this, pretty obviously. But not. Yeah, he might not if he doesn't really want to do this anymore, and this is like a cash grab or something. This is one of those ones that could have like a James Krause thing happening in the background.
Johnny.
Put him with Kyle Nelson, guys.
Kyle Nelson guy. Maybe. It could be. We'll see. No, I know.
He's not. Like, Kyle Nelson should not win this fight. Do-Ho Choi should win this fight. But hey,
things happen. Yeah,
Adam Fuget
Yusika
versus
Kinoshita.
Yatsuko
I love
Kinoshita.
it. Yeah, my son growled like a bear. This fight will be action. And I do, I do, I do see that Fugit should have that path to victory here, where he's primarily a wrestler against in someone who wants to strike and is unproven in UFC. Or I just don't think Adam Fugit is the guy to pull off that path to victory. Again, there's a lot of softballs on this card. This is a softball. So yeah, go to we'll take Kinoshita. He's gonna win this fight.
You're gonna take Kinoshita?
Yes. Oh,
This is one of the ones that confuses me a little bit more because Kinoshita hasn't fought anyone. Like, he has nothing but first round finishes. And as an amateur, he fought a bunch of people that he shouldn't have fought. And then as a pro, his pro record makes a little bit more sense. But he's got a lot of dudes that have like 40 fights in his first and second fight. So, like, those guys are probably very clearly terrible. So he probably shouldn't have fought any. Like, I don't know, man. There's another guy on the card that I feel more about this. But I don't trust this prospect. Like, I just on paper, I don't trust him. He lost his only Ryzen fight, and then he won a Contender Series fight. All of his victories are they all tell me that he fought nobody.
Back.
The only time that he made it to the third round is in his Contender Series fight. I don't know, man. And Adam Fuget, while not the most impressive, I've seen him grapple, and he's a quality grappler. And like, this is a real record. Like, this record looks better to me. He had actual tests on the way up, and he's been doing this for a few years longer. This should be a Fuget victory. What's the odds? Huh? Oh. John ran away with his son. But I wasn't looking, I was reading the details. All right, so John picked Kinoshita, I picked Fuget. This next one is an interesting one as well. Anshul Jubilee versus Jekka Saragi. Anshul is the third, to my knowledge, the third Indian fighter in the history of the UFC. This will be his UFC debut. Looks like he trained out of Thailand, and he's fought all quality opposition. All of his opponents have winning records. None of them have like crazy experience with no ability to win a fight. This fight, but I don't expect this to be a fun fight. And then the other dude out of Indonesia. Indonesia is known for martial arts, but I don't know of a lot of guys coming out of Indonesia. Maybe there's a lot in one. This guy's record's a little bit more all over the place, but it's all kind of on the up and up too. This is the fight on the card that has the least clarity. to me. I don't know enough about either of these guys. Pass. But I think I'm going to go with Jekka Saragi. John is not back yet. All right, our next fight. Za Yi versus Jiang Li. Jiang Li. That's a cool name. The Korean Tiger. All right. I haven't seen this Road to the UFC thing, but there's been a big push for Asian fighters recently. I think that's why they have this card. Quite a few of the fighters on this card had fights on the Road to the UFC thing. I think that's. I don't know if it's actually a reality show or if it's just like the Contender Series, but it's getting a bunch of Asian talent into the UFC.
My son had an
Have you
accident,
seen?
but he's okay.
Okay, I got you. Do you want to drop your pick for what was the last one? Anshul Jubilee versus Jekka Saragi.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. I actually did a little digging on this fight, and I it's a pick'em's fight on a line. I think Saragi has a ton of value. From what I saw out of Jubilee, the best way I could describe him is he's a counter puncher that doesn't have great counter punching ability. The thing I really liked about Saragi was he has some really good leg kicks, and it looks like he goes to that well a lot. And I think that's really going to keep Jubilee on the defensive, being he's a counter striker. Yeah, so I think there's a pretty big edge here. I think this might be my best bet of this card. Even though both of these guys are kind of no names, but I really like Saragi. I think he can win a decision by a wide margin.
I picked Sargi as well, but not nearly as confidently as you did. Cool. What about the next one?
Yeah, this was the one that I fell the least. I found the least out of all. Anything I wanted to dig or find, I really couldn't find much on either of these guys. It's hard. So I'm not betting it. I'm gonna go with Lee. But nothing much other than he's a favorite. I would say stay away from these fights. Stay away from these fights. Stay away from this fight as a bet. There's just not that much information about either guy. And I don't really have a great opinion. Maybe you do. Maybe you've heard of him. I don't. I have.
We have a 39-second average fight time in 2 fights. 39 seconds. Like one, he got an arm bar in 36 seconds. That had to have been a knockdown. He had to have knocked that guy down first. And then a right hook knockout in round 1. And then, knockout round 1, doctor stoppage round 2, armbar 18 seconds, armbar round 1, triangle round 1. This dude is a freaking powerhouse. Gianni. I don't know anything about either of these two guys. Zai. Hmm. I'm gonna pick Korea to beat China. So Jian Lee.
All right.
Even though this other guy's a grappler and I prefer grapplers. Ooh, he's got a lot of stuff going on. Hmm. Yeah, I guess I'll pick Lee here. But like John said, there's not really enough information to be super confident in any pick in this fight. Um, I guess you got a decent amount of tape on Yi. Next
Yeah.
fight.
So this one I can share. We got Sunguk Choi versus Yun Sung Park. So I guess this is two Koreans going at it. Um, so Choi was a hefty underdog, and he was in that. If anyone heard it, the Road to UFC tournament, I don't know if anyone really paid attention to that or knew that went on. But he was,
I
yeah,
heard about it, but I
didn't
don't.
really get
Was
much
it?
steam. Um, yeah,
It
what's that?
wasn't for us. It wasn't for
No, it was in
us.
Asia. It was it was it was it's catered to building UFC in Asia. So yeah, it was more Asia. But you could have watched it on Fight Pass if you have it.
Hmm.
Choi was a hefty underdog, and that fight got scratched. He got an opponent on short notice. It was a pretty close line, and he got a split decision over a guy who's not very highly regarded. Um, he's definitely stepping up in competition here um, against Peace of Mind. What a nickname for a fighter, Young Sung Park. Um, 6 finishes on his record. They're split with KOs and submissions. So I wouldn't say he's well rounded, but he's rounded. Um, so the only thing I can see is unless Choi's looks like he really struggles with, he either is really bad or he just has a problem with southpaws because he looked really bad, in my opinion, against lefties. Or he's just bad. I'm going with, I just don't think his stand up's very good. I'm not convinced that his wrestling is that good where he's going to just outmatch Park. So I think Park wins by finish.
Partner. How many? I am also gonna pick Park. This road to the so far, what I've seen, this road to the UFC thing has a lot of fighters that aren't ready yet.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
But they need, but they don't care. They just want
True.
eyeballs. So this fight is going to look like it belongs on a regional scene, and I believe that Hwan Sung Park is going to win this. I think his record shows a little bit more depth than Choi's does. I can't figure out what it is but Choi's record weirds me out.
Okay.
It 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 looks right, but it looks wrong at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. His amateur record doesn't, but you know what it is? There's no tests. He fought all cans. He didn't fight any of those guys that are like absolute dog shit, like that you can
Right.
visibly see are dog shit. But he fought nobody
I mean,
experienced at all.
I can see that.
There's not up until the road to the UFC. There's not a single person with more than 4 fights. And that's not true of Park's record. So I'm going to lean Park because he has competed against more experience and he's just going to have dealt
Yeah,
with
I
more
like Park.
tricks.
He's one of my favorite. One that I'm gonna wait, but I'm gonna bet him to win by finish when it comes out. That'll probably be out tomorrow, Friday. Those lines. But I like Park, and I like him. I like him to get the job done by finish.
We are missing a fight in here. On our list, there is also get back to it. Rinya Nakamura versus Toshiomi Kazama.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we are missing that. Apologies on my behalf. Yeah, Nakamura is a great train. Um, I'd like to see what happens with this fight on the ground if it ever hits the mat. But Nakamura is a pretty gigantic favorite. He's minus 500, and he's definitely. I think he's got an advantage everywhere. Maybe I do see like I don't see the path for. I didn't see the path of victory for in the wrestling for Adam Fugit. I could see some kind of submission, some crazy submission because Nakamura is wild. But I'm going to pick Nakamura to win the fight. I wouldn't bet him straight up, but um, he should win this fight.
Kazama attempted 0 takedowns, or attempted 0 submissions in a 15-minute fight where he scored 2 takedowns. But he is a jiu-jitsu guy. In 2 fights, Nakamura's average fight time is less than 3 minutes, and he has attempted almost 3 submissions. Ain't no way in hell that Kazama is going to keep up here. He's going to get flatlined. He is the more experienced of them. But it's not like he doesn't look to be some super stud on paper. He's just a guy on paper. Like a pretty good guy. Like I get why he's here. Again, that this is all on paper. I have not watched them because I didn't know of these two. But this all Nakamura also comes from wrestling, and he comes from international wrestling. Like he's an international caliber wrestler, and Japan is like a decent wrestling country. Not an amazing wrestling country. Their girls wrestling is pretty good though. And he's a hammer. All of his fights are finished in the first round. Oh, also all of his opponents were good. He's only beaten good people.
That's it.
Definitely Nakamura on that one. Like that's worth betting on.
500. All right.
That's a little high.
Yeah, if he's got a real path, maybe he's gonna win. Yeah. You could definitely throw him in a parlay or
something.
We'll try to mitigate the risk. Maybe if you like the favorites that we're talking about, some of them, you can throw them together, maybe 3 of them. But yeah, it's hard to back big money on, unless he does have an edge, but you're paying. I feel like you're really paying for that edge. You want to not pay for that big edge. You want to find it. Josh is good at those. Finding those pick 'em fights and finding a real big edge.
Ji-Yun Kim versus Mandy Bone. Holla.
I can't believe I couldn't, like, when I saw this matchup and I saw the line, I saw Ji-Yun Kim was minus 350, and I said, who the fuck is Ji-Yun Kim minus 350 over? Like, I just can't. I'm like, who? Like, who would Ji-Yun Kim ever going to be a favorite, like that favorite? Then I saw Mandy Bone. I'm like, that's who she would be a favorite over. I was like, I can't believe it. That's exactly that's might be the only person that she would ever be minus 350 over. Yeah, that's so Mandy Bone just she was a favorite to beat Ariane Lipski. And she's just looked so bad in both of her UFC appearances. Like her last fight, there's such a bad look. I could never bet money on Ji-Yeon Kim, but how is unless Mandy Bohm has like some big turnaround, gets back to that girl that has real good clinch game, some things, but she also tires out too. I mean, she's pretty bad. It's Oh my God, am I talking myself into a G on Kim bet? I don't even know. Kim wins this fight. She still wins this fight. She's my pick. I don't feel like I would bet her, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, holy shit! Like she should get in the win column here, or she's out the door. She's a lot better than this girl.
Yeah, I I also felt like you felt like, what is happening? What is this? This is a weird fight. Like this is Mandy Bone should win this fight. Wait, no, no. Mandy Bone has lost very
Yes,
definitively, and Firefist has fought
yes.
everyone.
Questionable. Like I think like 17 out of 18 outlets that scored her fight against Priscilla Cachoeira in her favor, which they should have. She just lit her up um, with strikes, but
It's unfortunate that she doesn't have
she has
power.
none. Yeah, she usually has a reach on everyone, but she won't in this. Like Bohm's a big girl, tall girl, so uh, and she won't have that usual reach edge. Um,
Yeah, the reach is 72, 71. That's a long reach,
yeah,
both of them. That's that's super long reach
yeah,
for a girl. That's a 6 foot reach. Um, oh, she has terrible defense. Oh my god, they both have terrible defense.
yeah. But Bohm doesn't throw.
Bomb throws. She just gets
She
hit a
didn't throw
lot.
any fights. So
She
she was
throws.
pretty flat her last fight.
Ji Young Kim's got this. This is not a. This is going to be a weird fight. Jun Young Park versus Dennis. I cannot pronounce that last
Tianunin,
name.
Dennis Tianunin.
T.
Um,
Lubin. I've never heard of this guy. Lubin. I mean, it makes sense. He's Russia.
Rushin. Yeah, I love. I'm not a fan of the Iron Turtle, but I think he's my best bet of the night. I I can't believe I love the Iron Turtle this much in a fight either. But on the,
Why are
I mean,
you?
Parks only lost. I mean, he lost to Fluffy in the UFC, and he's really. I thought he lost the fight against Eric Anders. Maybe that was a better fight than I think. Maybe that was a tougher matchup because he wrecked Joseph Holmes his last fight, and he ended up submitting Joseph Holmes. I mean, Dennis Tialullin. I mean, his only thing he's done in the UFC. Okay, he ended up knocking out Jamie Pickett, but in the second round after losing the first round. But if you lose the rounds against Jamie Pickett, no offense, yeah, it's not going to change my opinion of Tallulah. He's got decent power. He's got no speed, poor ground game. I mean, Park's got a high volume takedown offense in general. That's what he likes to do, and he controls. He doesn't lose position. I like Park's cardio. I like his durability. If somehow he gets caught with a shot, yeah, I love Park to win this fight. I bet him at -200. I think it's a steal. He's probably gonna he's about -260 now, but I like him.
Tialullin has seemingly lost every single one of his tests, and he's won plenty of fights in between. But he's 11-6. Like this guy, why did he get? How did he get here? Like, what? Did he get a new good manager? Oh, UAE Warriors. That makes sense. He did well in the UAE.
Okay.
That yeah, the Iron Turtle's likely going to smash this guy for all the reasons you said, and then also I don't think this guy's just going to be
No.
that great. Um, what do we got? One less fight on the card. Atsuro Taira versus Jesus
Tatsuro
Aguilar.
Taira, yeah, they're really doing a job of bringing him up. So being what you said before about these are people from that UFC, the road to UFC. I guess that they're also building. That's why the Asians were built around this card, and Tyra is one of the biggest prospects. And he's been impressive so far in the UFC. 2 finishes. I don't see anything standing in his way with this fight. He's minus 13 fucking hundred. Um, so there's not even value. So he's probably like minus 600 to finish the fight. Yeah, he's a huge favorite. He crushes. Starts it off. Starts it off with the finish.
Hmm. Taira's average fight time in the UFC is 12 minutes. Why are you so convinced he's going to finish him quickly?
He is going to quickly, maybe by run through him. I don't know if he'll finish him quickly, but I don't see him not dominating this fight. I could see him finding maybe he'll find a submission a little later, or something. But I think he just run. I think he runs. He's going to run through him. This fight's never going to be in question. The only shot his opponent has is he's got like 3 guillotine finishes on his resume, but that's not happening. I don't see. I don't see Tyra, who's also he likes to choke you, and he's not just going to run right into a guillotine against a lesser opponent. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I forgot he had that crazy amateur record, too. Yeah, this kid's been fighting
Yeah.
forever. With this is the fight that I would pair. What was the fight that I said to bet on, even though it was negative
Nakamura.
500? I would bet on Aguilar and tie that with Nakamura.
Aguilar?
Yep.
No, if you like Aguilar, just bet him straight. And you pair him too, but if you like an underdog like that, you got to get that straight bet in.
I know it's not that I necessarily love him. It's that 1,200 is way too high.
Yeah, but it's
Like this guy's got a chance. As I look more at Tyra, like Tyra's super legit, and I remember seeing that in his. But like, this is not some slouch. Like, this is a legit fighter he's about to fight. Even though this guy's new to the UFC, this is not going to be some pushover.
I can see that, but it is the fight is 50-50 to end in a round and a half. I don't see Tyra not dominating this fight and then getting a finish.
I don't think he's going to get a finish. That I don't expect.
That's good odds then.
Is he a
Might
fan?
not be bad odds. Tyra to win by decision.
Rear naked, triangle, rear naked, ground and pound. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a finish. And he's still like, I think Tyra's still super legit. But everybody gets a prospect loss where they make a mistake. I think this is going to be his prospect loss. Because right now he's fucking 22-0 at 22 years old. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Well, there you have it, folks. Oh, I'm picking Tyron. No, I'm gonna pick the other dude.
Are you
I'll
serious?
forfeit this victory. Just
You're
I'm gonna pick the other dude. I'm doing it like I'm doing this one tongue in cheek. I don't genuinely expect him to win, but I had a good feeling about it. It's just it's not. I wouldn't just throw your money on it. But if you have some other big pick or some other like this is, I think I like it.
all right.
I like
Upset
it.
of the
If you
year.
got a
Here it
sure
is.
thing,
Josh Moody, upset of the year.
balance
All
your
right,
sure thing
throw it
with
in
this
there.
one.
I like it.
This is your this is your gamble. This is your just let's see what happens. But I think it could happen. All right. This has been Algorithm versus the Experts. If you've been enjoying the content, please remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. Pull out your earbuds, stick them in somebody else's ear, tell them you've made millions of dollars and that we're better than James Krause at this
Hell yeah.
shit. This time and every time. Thank y'all,
Thank y'all.
motherfuckers, for
Some
being
dirty
here.
motherfuckers. Love you guys.